Oh, it's setting it up. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
We are almost live. Okay, done. Redirecting to Facebook Live, and there we are. Let me check on yours here. Okay, so welcome everyone
to another edition of CV Tech Talk Live.
That's right. Now, this is the summer of CV Tech Talk, when we are bringing in the big names from all over the country.
Yeah, our goal this summer is to bring the best and brightest minds to the Central Valley. We have some great ones already here, but speaking of that,
already.
We were just talking about you. All good thing. All good thing.
I know you are, Pee-wee, but what am I? I don't make monkeys. I only work with them. Nobody ever watches the first 30 seconds anyways.
Yeah.
So anyway, we oh wait, that's not what I meant to do. I know, whoops. There we go, there we go. Yeah, so what I wanted to say, oh, someone's saying hi. I think this is George Garcia. I gotta go back here.
The famous comedian?
Close. Look, my back button here is not working. Let's do this.
Don't go back.
There we go. Oh, it's gone. There's no comments now.
Yeah, you have to watch the video to see the comments.
Irritate. Okay, so I do have to click on it.
Yep.
See, that's dumb.
Well, you need to make your window bigger.
I know.
You got it.
All right. So we always talk about what we're drinking first, but before we do, actually, Adam, who are we with and what are they talking about today?
Tonight, our topic is Eduprotocols. And we have two of the preeminent Eduprotocols minds on Earth. We have one of the co-authors, John Corippo, right there, hanging out at Pee-wee's Playhouse. And we have Kim Voge out of Southern California, who is a Eduprotocols guru, has taken what John and Marlena have written in those books and remixed it, a million different times, and is sharing the love with everybody. So I want to thank you guys both for joining us tonight and hanging out with us on a Wednesday night.
And so all of our chat is going to be on Twitter, and then we're also going to be talking about it here on Zoom and live stream to Facebook Live. So if you're watching, feel free to answer the tweets in the questions in Facebook Live. I'll be monitoring the comments. So good stuff. We do have Adam Moeller here from Cincinnati already.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam.
With us a few times
Adam's in the house.
That's right. That's right. So good stuff. There, the welcome question just dropped. We always have a little icebreaker. So introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, what your job is, and what are you looking forward to as summer approaches? So what I'll give you guys a moment to think about that, Kim and John, if you've got
I've got a start for you.
Okay.
He's freezing.
You froze though.
It's okay. He's back.
It's an icy story.
I'm back. I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna make a prediction that this is going to be, from the last day of school until about June 12th, this will be the quietest summer of all time for teachers. I think they're going to be crazy unplugged. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
Crazy unplugged.
I agree. And
Well,
Like everybody's being super tough and brave right now, and they're going to hit the eject button. They're going to be like, out of here. And I don't blame them, right? Everybody's looking forward to this. Is going to be the best 4th of July ever for teachers.
Yeah.
I don't even start summer till June 12th. So I'm kind of on countdown now. I really don't like being on countdown, but I'm there.
Well, it's been an interesting one.
I'm in the same boat too, man. We had the 3-day weekend just this past weekend, and I unplugged like
Not
crazy.
Enough. I need like a 12-day weekend.
Yeah, it went too quickly, but I unplugged more than I have in a long time. Definitely. We have some new,
And you're the work-life fusion people, and you unplugged.
yeah. So that's all, it's bad. So we have a newbie on tonight, Sonny Dane from Buena Park.
Oh, cool.
She teaches 3rd grade. And, today she says that students turn in their technology, and she's packing to move school. So it's first thing to do is to put her feet up.
Okay.
And then watch some mind-numbing TV for a day or two, and would love to head to Disneyland if it opens up.
Yes.
So,
I would agree with that.
Oh yeah. Nobody else has that idea.
That's the problem. I know.
Yeah.
So we've got on Facebook here, we do have, like I said, George Garcia. We have Carlos Quevedo.
Carlos Quevedo, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mr. Morosi.
And then Kelly Francis, who said she's already unplugged. And also Nora Altstedt is with us as well. Nora was helping collect musical instruments today, I believe, if I'm remembering if I saw the social media correctly.
Saw it on Facebook.
So all great stuff. On Twitter, we've got Kim Calderon as well. So good stuff. Question 1 will be dropping any moment. Oh, let's see.
I already answered it.
Yeah,
all right.
Fast. Heidi Meist is in here. Hi, hello to Heidi. Yeah.
Absolutely. So question 1 says, what do you want to know about Eduprotocols, or what do you already know about Eduprotocols?
It's time to ask. If you've been watching from a distance, if you've been coy, and this is your chance to say, what is that crazy cult thing going on? Or if you think that Eduprotocols has changed your life, like look at Kim's got a whole new background going on.
Yeah.
Share out what that is. We're here to answer.
Awesome. We also have Sarah Smith from she's a teacher librarian right here in Sanger. Absolutely. She does some amazing things with she knows graphic novels like the back of her hand. So Sarah, welcome. We are talking about Eduprotocols. So let's see what some of these, any answers yet? Let's see. Well, I'll say what I love about Eduprotocols is that the protocol stays the same. So the kids don't have to say, wait, especially in distance learning, if we're in that format or a blended approach, what did the directions mean?
Right.
What is this new worksheet?
The directions out the window, right? Thin slide. Go. Blow me away.
Like so seamless. The distance learning.
Kim's been living it.
Was super seamless. So on March 13th, I said, hey guys, we're not going to be at school, but this is going to be learning in our pajamas. And you already know all the things to do because you know the Eduprotocols. And so they're like, this will be fun. And that's when we thought it was just going to be for 2 weeks. And it has not, the novelty wore off rather quickly, but my kids have been requesting Eduprotocols.
Nice.
Every week or so, I stop down and say, okay, guys, what did you like about this week? What can we do differently? And they were really wanting an Iron Chef and really wanting a cyber sandwich. And so we set those up to make them even work in the Zoom rooms and did a few little modifications to make it work with the distance learning and not necessarily having every student present. So it worked really well.
So I'm glad you said that, because what you said right there is exactly, I think, what I need the most right now is how to get better with it in distance learning. I mean, I can do it live with my eyes closed, but distance learning is what I really need to work on. So yeah, doing something like a cyber sandwich, you know, on Zoom would definitely something I want to experiment with. But I gotta say, you know, my first year using them, we got to the whole quarantine, and the students I served, they're very little to no English, and you know, most of them it was just getting them to do any kind of work was like pulling teeth. So admin kind of asked me, like, hey, you know, how are your kids going to be able to handle all this, you know, with all the doing everything's online? I'm like, my kids, it's second nature to them, you know, all this, because I've been hammering them with Eduprotocols all year, that doing this stuff, it's not going to be much different from what they're used to. And, you know, it was still a struggle to get them to do the work, but the work itself wasn't the issue. It was more the motivation at home.
Right.
I'm not the only one with that problem, but my kids who have a lot of issues that I have to deal with in person, I think they adjusted relatively well. So I would definitely tip of the cap to Eduprotocols for that.
Yeah, and I would say too, to what to your point, Adam, even though, you know, you're saying motivation was tricky, but at the same time, Eduprotocols give enough room for choice and creativity that if you would have given them worksheets, it would have been worse. Answer the question back of the book, you would have had a lot less kids engaging at all. No one has 100% right now. No one. I tell teachers, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not you.
It's an anomaly, right? This is a weird time in history, and it's just a weird time. Plus, you will never get cooties from an Eduprotocol, and you will from packets. So there's that too.
Of course.
So K. Gianna Andrea on the Twitter says, I'm a noob. Just tell me the good stuff. I already love this girl right here. She's just tell me the good stuff. So I already gave her a couple of, I said, check out eduprotocols.com and check out the hashtag. What else would you guys tell her about the good stuff?
I mean, I know Kathleen, I work with her. She's our Avid guru. She's what you are for Cute John. She's for Avid pretty much. So she's definitely take the bull by the horns and have embraced Eduprotocols as I introduced it this year. I sit in on a number of her PLCs, and she's been doing things like thin slides and some cyber sandwich with the PLCs, which is great. But yeah, she's a TOSA. She's not doing it in class as much, but she's definitely willing to learn, and definitely, I think I gave her a copy of the first book. The second one, I don't think she has yet.
Nice.
But yeah, she's definitely a good ally to have.
By the way, we have some new viewers here on Facebook. We've got Philip Cesares, Bruce, is it Riker?
Philip Cazares, that's Philip from.
Yeah, I know. We know Philip.
Cazares with a C.
See, I'm still bad at
Is that the same Philip? I wasn't sure.
Yeah. And Martine is here, as well as Mark
Martine.
Wendell. So welcome to all of you. We are our question 2 just dropped. If you're on Facebook, just so you know. So question 2 is, how can teachers use Eduprotocols to build relationships with students, whether we are in or out of the classroom? Speaking of relationships, I need to stop us for just a moment.
Okay.
Because I believe that we build relationships when we eat and drink together.
That's right.
And what we do at CV Tech Talk is we always talk about what we're drinking. And we specifically chose this wine to align with the Eduprotocols.
Oh man, you guys are so organized.
Yeah, we have a 2017 Alianico from Caparoni, from some weird town where only weird people were born, Paso Robles. I don't know anybody from there, but if I did, I'll avoid that. I don't know anybody from that town.
I'm just saying, you're obviously not local because you're saying it wrong. It's Paso Robles.
Like I
Paso
said,
Robles.
Anyways.
So the reason
it's also not San Luis Obispo. It's not San Luis Obispo either.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying, Mr. Local there. So the reason why we chose the Caparoni is because someone's at our front door. Thank you, Nest.
I'll go check.
It's the solar guy. Forget it.
Oh yeah.
We already talked about it. So we told Caparoni because Caparoni is one of the OG wineries down there, and they only do single varietals, no blends. But like an Eduprotocol, is the only thing that changes is the content. Here, these are always unfined and unfiltered. Doesn't matter which one it is, it's going to use the same consistency no matter which varietal, and that's definitely a
same price
it's the
too.
Eduprotocol wine, as I would like to say. So that's why we chose it tonight. And we have someone at the door.
I like it.
Yeah.
That consistency thing lowers the winemaker's cognitive load.
There you go.
I have sangria, but it's nothing fancy. It's just sangria from Sprouts, and it's lovely.
I'm having a handcrafted cocktail. This is Tito's, and I don't know if you guys have heard these super cool fruit drinks. Izzy's. I got Tito's and Izzy going. Why Izzy? I didn't make it to the grocery store yesterday, so Izzy's what it is.
All right. We got a lot of
Made it into an appletini.
Nice.
There you go.
Crystal Chavez joined, by the way.
All right.
Welcome, Crystal.
Oh, Crystal's in the house. I like what Adam Moeller said. He's been very purposeful about bringing on Eduprotocols, and he said that he literally saved 6 weeks of instruction this year, which sounds nice until you realize that 6 weeks is, get me if the 30 weeks in a year, 6 weeks is like
20%.
That's a lot. 20% is a lot.
Yeah.
Of your year back for teachers who always say I'm out of time. 20% is a lot back. Notice how I paused on the math because I wasn't sure, but I was like, I felt like 20%, 3%, 30, 6, 30. Yeah, there you go.
Also, Matt Garrett is with us. Those of you that just joined on Facebook, our question right now that we are talking about is, how can teachers use Eduprotocols to build relationships with students, whether in or out of the classroom? Absolutely. So, Crystal, I love this.
And I think the relationship piece boosts because you're not doing direct instruction, then silence, direct instruction and silence. You're getting your TWA on, which is a Tulare term, teach while walking around. You're interdicting kids on their stuff before they're failing, and they're telling you funny little incidents and anecdotes. And that piece is all day long. You're all day long interacting with the kids, and it happens almost accidentally. Wouldn't you agree, Kim? Like, you don't say, I'm going to be with the kids more, but by helping them, those little things all start happening.
Right. Even I've noticed even in the Zoom, in our Zooms, rather than, I don't want to be talking at them for 20 minutes, 30 minutes in our Zoom. That's awful. So we'll do the discussion part of a cyber sandwich or an Iron Chef. They come prepared, and then I put them in their breakout rooms and they go do that, and I pop in and hear their conversations. And then when they're finished with the Zoom, they can go do the activity where they're actually doing the writing part. So all that build up from the beginning of the year, like the first 2 weeks of school, was a bunch of the smart starts in book 1, where they frared a friend, and then they did funny cyber sandwiches and low cognitive load on the Iron Chef, and they got used to working with the words and the directions, and then we started applying it. And I won't change that for this fall, whether we're in the classroom or not, because it worked. And it was definitely a need. And the kids, like, I've never had such a confident group of kids. They have no problem asking for help, and they have no problem offering help to each other. And it's magical.
Hey, so John, we have a question on Facebook. Kelly's asking, and since you are the co-author of this, I want to give this question to you. So how would you define Eduprotocols for someone that feels out of the loop?
Oh yeah. Well, just think about it like a frame. Am I back now?
Yes.
Or are you guys just messing with me? You just messing with me.
We were messing.
Marlena calls them a lesson frame. And so basically what happens is the work that the kids do the same every day is the same. And all it changes is the subject. So imagine that this week we're going to do a cyber sandwich, a fast and curious, and Iron Chef on volcanoes. Next week, we're going to do the same thing, but glaciers. And the next week, same thing, but earthquakes. And so their cognitive load is so low because they know the task. And then it keeps it fresh because I'm constantly bringing new things. Kim, I'd like you to add on like what you did with the state parks, because Kim then took that to this whole other level where she now had, watch this, Catherine, you're going to love it, each kid doing a different state park or national park, but the theme of the week was water.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
So I'm doing Glacier National Park water. You're doing Yellowstone water, Yosemite water. Go with that, Kim.
So I was just able to, the kids were successful in building a whole website because they could go do an informational essay, but I didn't tell them they were doing an informational essay. They did 3 mini reports, and then they wrote an introduction and a conclusion, and they wrote an essay, and it didn't even hurt. So, you know, and they,
I want to know the story of essay that don't hurt. I want to hear more about essay that don't hurt. I love that when you did that at Bold.
Well, I mean, you say essay, you can just see the life drain out of kids. Like an essay, that just sounds like, what is even an essay? But a mini report, that sounds very doable. Like I can handle.
Oh, totally. Anything mini I can handle. Mini candy bar, mini Whopper, mini whatever. Mini tacos. I'm good with all that.
Scaffolded the skill through language, art, science, and social studies all year long, so that come February, when they started working on their national park, I was like, okay, guys, you have to research your national park, and you know, you're gonna hit the nature topics, obviously, at the park. And they're like, okay, we got it. Like, we don't need you now. I'm like, oh, well, okay, you don't.
Oh, I love that.
I felt oh, it was basically like, Mrs. Voge, you can stop talking. We got it. And I'm like, what could be better? I mean, you know,
you were mansplaining your kids.
Yeah. And then one of the things I wanted to say about these being the perfect frames is you don't have to write sub-plans anymore the way that you've done before, where you detail out everything. So I was out for a couple of things, and I wrote these really detailed sub-plans, and the kids were like, Mrs. Voge, please don't be out again. I'm like, what can I do to make it better? They're like, could you give us some Eduprotocols? Okay. They're asking to write. I've never had that before. And I said, okay, well, what do you want? And they said, well, we want a cyber sandwich and an Iron Chef and emoji power paragraph. And I'm like, okay. So I just inserted the content that we needed to cover that day. And I didn't have to worry that the sub was going to mess up, because there was nothing to mess up because the kids already owned the skills.
Yeah, the kids are like, hey, sub, can you stay in the corner? I'm busy working.
Yeah, all you have to do is make sure they don't hurt each other. I mean, it was the best thing ever. I wish I would have saved the notes I got from the subs when they had the Eduprotocols, because it was like, your class is lovely. I had a lovely day in here. I'd come back anytime. And not too often that subs get to write that kind of note.
Absolutely. Hey, I wanted to give some or some ideas here from Facebook, the comments here. So when you guys were talking about how, John, I loved how you said you're buying back time. You get all this time. And so what are we gonna do with all this time? So Crystal Chavez talked about time for SEL, for social emotional learning. Love that. So important right now, definitely. And also Sarah Smith said time for the 20% projects. Let the kids learn what they want to learn. You know, that talk about motivation.
And you're not always just crushed. You're not always crushed like only 2 days till the giant state thing. You know, you're not living there because you have bandwidth now.
My kids are actually writing their own hyperdoc right now for their own whatever topic they wanted to learn about or have their friends learn about, something that interested them. And so I've been going through checking slides tonight, and we've got everything from World War II to sharks to making your own pizza. And they're finding, like, they're building a hyperdoc. Like, that's just amazing. And the hyperdoc is like the ultimate Eduprotocol because it is a frame upon which you can fill in.
And we get that question a lot: are hyperdocs and Eduprotocols compatible? They're like a Venn diagram. They're totally compatible.
Yeah.
So Adam Moeller here chimed in as a history teacher. I'm going to be partial to this answer. For question 3, he says, if you teach social studies, here are some great Eduprotocols to start the year with. Pick one and build from there. He says, mini report for writing and research, sketch and tell, creating and describing, cyber sandwich, comparing, and class discussions. So great post there from Adam Moeller.
Awesome.
I know Eduprotocols did help me pretty well on my first evaluation in years. I did a cyber sandwich, and they just couldn't believe how, you know, the kids that I worked with were so engaged, and it was, you know, I was so hands off. I wasn't sitting there saging.
And that's the thing is they're highly engaged, and it's not contrived. So it's not, I need you guys to be good because there's an important person in here. They're actually doing it, right? They're actually into it.
Yeah. So question 4 just dropped. I don't think we've read it yet. But it says, what's the secret power of repetitions, and how do Eduprotocols leverage that to make planning and grading easier and more impactful? It's a loaded question.
That's a lot on there, that question.
I can answer it pretty quickly. I learned it from a guy named Jim Sweeney that Adam knows.
Go there.
But basically, teachers grade incorrectly in 2 ways. One way they grade incorrectly is they grade every worksheet. Really bad idea. The other way they grade incorrectly is they grade none of the worksheets, just as bad of an idea. And by the way, good job is a no grade, right? Good job is a no grade. So part of what I've done with the protocols, my perspective is 4 days a week is practice. If you fill the thing up, you get 5 points. Fill it 5, right? And then on Friday or Thursday, whatever day, that's show day. Now you work independently. So 4 days a week, it's crazy. We're all helping each other. We're getting her done. We're filling it in. Corippo's walking around drinking Izzy, probably just with Izzy in it. And I'm walking around making sure everybody's finishing, right? Finishing. And then I know that I need to stand by Adam for another minute or 2 when we get to this part. I know my people because I've been walking around, right? And then on Friday, no helping, go. And if they struggle on 2 or 3 parts, they're getting a mini lesson on that. And then we hit it again next week. And so my grading doesn't take very long because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if they fill it up, everybody gets 5. And if Adam doesn't fill it up, he gets a call home, and we're filling it up because being industrious is not, you know, that's a life skill. Working is a life skill. And then on Friday, I break them on down and do more detail. But the other piece is, and then I'll finish this up, is I really realized when I was teaching high school English, we are kidding ourselves when we give kids 5-page essays because we are not reading those. And if you are, you may want to reconsider where you're spending your time, because if it takes you 40 or 50 hours to grade your essays every time you get essays in, you're not really giving them the attention that those kids need. And the answer comes 3 weeks later. They don't care anymore. If you watch what teachers like David Terrio do and Sean Zebarth, who are some of my favorites, they're going to get the kids to give me 1 incredibly powerful paragraph or 2. And then they're going to be all over it and make sure that paragraph is butt kicking. Because if you get kids where they can crank out 1 or 2 great paragraphs and then they're engaged, like what you're saying, Kim, now they're engaged, they can write anything they want. But what we do is we equate length of work with quality of work, and then you get all this grading, and it ends up just really ending badly.
Yeah, it would be nice if the way we report to parents matched what we can tell so much more from with the Eduprotocols, because getting it to an ABC is not telling the parents or showing the parents the beauty in what their child is able to do at this point. So someday those will all align for us, I'm sure. One can hope.
Well, what's really helped me with grading in Eduprotocols, I think that's been powerful. I mean, I kind of jumped on this train last summer for the first time, and what I kind of gleaned from it was that, you know, it makes learning becomes the process now. All those steps, you know, building up to that culminating event, to that assessment, whatever I call it, you know, those reps, you know, kids, they get I mean, most of my points are participation points, and they build that confidence and that self-esteem. Like, oh, I'm getting points now for participating, where that doesn't always happen. And then
what happens is the amount of kids getting F's and E's goes down a ton, right?
Yeah.
The amount of kids getting F's and E's goes down a ton.
Yeah. So that they're getting like, so you get more kids in the door and empowered by it. So I'm getting more buy-in just by kind of shifting my mindset there, instead of putting a bunch of different rigid activities in a row before we get there. It's a simple little shift you're thinking, and it's very powerful.
And they already feel more confident just knowing that frame is going to look the same in science and social studies. I think, you know, everyone's I'm like a font snob, I will admit. I like things to look cute or a certain way, but I ditched all that and just stuck with the templates that are on the eduprotocols.com website, because the kids didn't have to decipher what was on the page and what goes where, because it all was going in the same place. And being a 5th grade teacher and teaching multiple subjects, that cyber sandwich worked in language arts, science, and social studies, and they didn't have to guess what went where. They knew what we were going to be doing. And that, just the confidence in that of some of my struggling learners was just like, they knew at least how to tackle that. They knew what went where. They just didn't necessarily know how to put it on the page because they struggled with that part. So I could get that they could get started sooner than waiting for me to come around to them.
Yeah, for sure. Melissa is here from Mississippi, and she said she made it home from work to catch the end of this, and she's excited to introduce her teachers to Eduprotocols. And I did drop the website link into the Facebook comment thread there. So awesome, Melissa. Glad to hear it.
One of the things about, so question 5 dropped, and it says, go ahead.
Let me wrap that. Reps defeat the forgetting curve. And you guys are all frozen. You guys are all frozen to me.
I think you're the frozen one.
But there's a thing called the forgetting curve. And if you look it up, reps wipe out the forgetting curve. No, I'm not frozen. You're frozen.
Okay, so question
Check
5.
out the forgetting curve. I'm going to tweet that.
All right.
Perfect.
So question 5 says, immediate feedback is a keystone of Eduprotocols. What are some advantages of grading now? So
I don't have to grade it later for one thing. It doesn't go in my cart. I'm done.
So as far as the feedback point, it's healthier for me as an adult, because the way I have it, it means I'm getting more steps in. I'm around the classroom. I don't have a teacher desk. I haven't had one in years. Yeah. My teacher desk is wherever the kids are. And my barometer is, if I don't get in 2 classes, I can get 7,500 steps. If I don't get that, then I probably wasn't giving enough feedback. But it's like, I'm definitely, my feet are hurting after. So yeah, so it's about, I guess, a 3,700 average step count in a 50-minute class. It means that I'm definitely giving a ton of feedback, and I'm not just sitting there being a sage on a stage.
Well, Crystal said the students don't have to unlearn bad habits. So if you're not catching it while it's happening and you wait until that summative assessment, it's too late. That's the autopsy. You know, you've got to get them as they're learning so they can be on the right track. You think of like
they've already failed 3 assignments.
Me froze.
And they stop. The learning stops.
Just stops, John.
Yep.
what I started doing was I was using the Eduprotocols whole group. And then once they got their feet with them and knew what to do with them, they started being their small group activities, so that when I would meet with small group and we would be maybe going over their first paragraph in a mini report, they were really open to hearing feedback from each other and receiving that kind of, there were some things to fix, but it's all in how you deliver that. But then they're all learning from each other about like sentence structure or a topic sentence or whatever. And so I was able to shift the whole group thing into some small group work then. And it made my small group stations way more manageable.
Well, and it's because you modeled it. Like you modeled, this is how to give good feedback. You were doing it all the time. So I think that's the reason that happens.
So something I wanted to ask you, Kim, because I know this past year it was your first year back in the classroom after many years as a TOSA, and you went full bore Eduprotocol. So for those who are brand new and said, you know what, for pretty much you were like being a new teacher again, and you just ran with the strategy. So if you could just speak to that experience about being like a quasi brand new teacher with this great strategy to begin with.
Yeah, it was year 26 for me, and I had been out for 7.5 years. So it was new social study or new language arts and new math and all the new Common Core. So it really was taken from the fire hose all year. And I had set up a plan at the beginning of the year of like how I was going to introduce the Eduprotocols and bring them all in. And I call it the world's ugliest spreadsheet, which I will be happy to share with people, but it is ugly but it worked. And I really tried to use the materials that the school district provided because I knew that was, fidelity and all that stuff. And the first week I planned language arts, I ended up calling John in tears because it took me 6 hours to plan language arts. And it was like a really crappy week of learning in my classroom. And he's like, okay, well, what were you doing? I said, well, it was an expository passage and they had to read and annotate and then they had to summarize. He's like, you just did a cyber sandwich. I'm like, oh. So when I started, I actually went through and made these alignment documents of all of the anchor standards with all of the Eduprotocols. And in math, I did the mathematical practices and the Eduprotocols. And then man, it just took off from there because I was just plugging in the Eduprotocols where they needed to go, racking them and stacking them in fun ways for the kids. And it was kind of like, bring it on, Voge, what you got next for me? And as soon as I'd say there's a new Eduprotocol, it was like, yeah. And the crazy thing is if I would have told them that we were going to read, annotate, and write a summary, they'd be like, yeah. But I'm like, we're going to cyber sandwich. They're like, yeah. Like, they're cheering for writing. It was awesome. So it just has been, it was phenomenal. And I was new to the school and new to the parents. And here's this crazy new teacher. And I'm pretty sure they were happy their kid was in my class. So we had a great year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I followed your journey online all year, so you look like you're having a blast in this.
Yeah, we had a good time. And like John said, I was able to do the fun stuff that before I'd been too scared to do because it was like, oh, I'm not going to get where I need to get for testing. And as much as I am so happy we did not have to do testing this year, I kind of wanted to because I really wanted to see that the Eduprotocols helped my kids rock that test. But that's okay because I'll take the happiness they have right now over that any day.
Yeah, any day. Yeah, but it's because those, again, the structure's simple and that they're learning the same thing all the time, but they're actually thinking. They're doing critical thinking. It's open-ended enough that they're not just answering questions off a worksheet. They're actually thinking with these Eduprotocols. So it makes sense that they're able to figure this stuff out on the standardized assessment. And it just makes sense.
Exactly.
They'll be more successful at that. So, okay. So question here from Facebook. How would Eduprotocols work with reading and writing workshop schools? I would say reading workshop, easy. You've got like cyber sandwich. You've got lots
Book
of
of Kucha, game of quotes.
Oh yeah. Writing workshops.
All the cyber sandwich, mini report, random emoji, power paragraph.
Yeah. So I would say this though, if you're doing like those, if you're doing reading or writing units of study, you still want to be careful that this is what I recommend you do if you're looking for some buy-in from your admin on this one. Mm-hmm. In those books, it says that the goal of those units of study is that you create your own. You do it and you learn to create your own. That's something a lot of people don't realize. I looked it up. I looked through those documents like crazy, trying to find how people could be, good teachers and professionals and not use a scripted approach. So I would recommend looking into that. Yeah, units of study.
Well, and to play off of that, Catherine, I get people to say, oh, we're using this curriculum. Is it compatible? Does your curriculum have response to literature, Venn diagrams? Yes. We just do it better with Eduprotocols. Right. We really could have named it Smoke and Mirrors and done pretty good too. It could have been named Smoke.
True.
Because it's the same old stuff, just put together better, right? And what is disco other than bossa nova with more Andy Gibb, right? It's just a rearrangement. People don't have to tear their whole world down to Eduprotocol. Right. One of the ones I like to tell people is you're going to keep all the things you're good at. Are you going to do direct instruction? Yep. Mm-hmm. But in protocols, you don't do it at the beginning. You do it in the middle. Let the kids fail a little because then they want to hear about it. But to be able to do that, you got to grade them in the middle. You got to be able to say, we just did this and that was really bad, right? And Kim's got a story like this when she was still at TOSA, where she got given 126 graders. My story, like, I don't know if I ever fully told you this one, Kim. I got given 96 graders and they're like, oh, this guy's going to come and teach you. I wasn't prepped for 90. And they gave me 90 kids. So we did random emoji power paragraph. But here's the thing that happened. On the first one, almost every kid wrote and they all died. Almost every kid did that for the last sentence. And when I hit start vote and they could all see that they all wrote the same thing, they literally went like this. Oh, no. We're better than that. We can write better than that. And I'm like, well, what do you guys want to do? We should do another one. When do kids ever do that? But they all got to see what they did at once. If those had gone in my inbox on their way to recess or in their journal, that would have never happened. So I let them go again. And here's the fun ending. One kid out of the 90 still said, and they all died. And the whole class was like, oh my God, that's perfect. I'm glad he stuck with it. That And those are the kind of things you get with protocols that you're never going to get with a scripted formulaic thing. You know, the one that says answers may vary in the teacher's guide. How is that helping me? Answers may vary. Whoop-de-doo.
So we got a question from Casey, John, just for you. Casey from Seattle. He's asking if he pushed play on your Spotify right now, what would he hear?
Ooh, a lot of Neil Diamond. Some Muse. A fair amount of Phoenix. Let me see what else. Hold on. Some Electric Light Orchestra, and probably the whole soundtrack. That's about where I'm at musically.
Hey, awesome. We've got Veronica Godinez on as well. Welcome, Veronica.
Oh, be quiet. My boss is here now. Be cool.
My mom joined us. Uh-oh. Welcome, Mom. And George Bracinas was on as well. Welcome to all of you.
Oh, George. That's cool.
So one thing I'd like to add before we kind of wrap this up, I know a lot of districts are eyeballing right now a hybrid model for the fall. I know my district is. I've seen some of our first iterations of what that could look like with, rotating schedules. Kids come certain days for a few hours at a time. You get 30 minutes face-to-face. So I think Eduprotocols is perfect for that because, you're kind of you're flipping the instruction. So when you get that face time, that's the time for Eduprotocols. It writes itself for you, and it's again, you teach better, plan less, right? Or how to say it.
Teach better, play less. I like it. No, but I would say I want to throw this out there to teachers though. If your admins are talking about going 50% of the kids at school and 50% at home, that scares me because that means teachers will have half of their class online and half their kids face to face. So this is not really Eduprotocols. I would just caution you to touch base with your admins about that because you're going to end up with half of your class face-to-face and the other half waiting online for you. What's that lesson planning going to look like, Adam?
It's going to be double the work.
It's double the work. Plus, how many teachers are parents? So where are your kids during 50-50?
Right.
So, but to jump in with what you're saying, if I was if I was going to be in the classroom next year, wink, wink, if I was going to be in the classroom next year, I would smart start them for 3, 4, 5 days, whatever I had, so that when I sent them home, I'd be Kim Voge, and I'd go thin slides, let it rip. Worst prezzo ever, let it rip. You would have built the culture. And if you can get 5, would you agree, Kim? If you can get 5 protocols in, then all the rest are easy.
Mhm.
If you can teach your kids 5, if they can learn fast and curious, thin slides, Iron Chef, cyber sandwich, and Kim, what's one more?
Oh, random emoji with nacho.
If you can teach them that in 3 or 4 days, your money, your year is going to be fine. Your grading will be down. You can teach them remotely, and then you can just roll in and say, okay, so this one's kind of like this, but it's this, and I call it number mania. And they're like, ooh, a new protocol. And it's great. It's great because you can just jump them right over to the new thing.
And you're not going to be lecturing because, well, let's hope you don't. A lot of people are like losing their mind that Screencastify only gave you 5 free minutes of, you don't want your screencast to be longer than 5 minutes.
Right.
So
Right.
you got to offset the lecture. Nobody wants to listen to, I mean, I don't want to watch something longer than 5-6 minutes myself as an adult. So there's no way a kid wants to watch a 40-minute math lesson. That's just wrong. I can't even tell you how wrong that is. So break it up into chunks and give them something to do in between and you're good to go. So.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're just about to the end of our show here, but we want to thank John and Kim for being with us. Is there anything you want to leave everyone with before we say adieu?
Well, I won't steal John's tagline, but you know how to find me on Facebook or Twitter or my email, and I'm here for you. Now, John, your famous line.
Well, if you're tired of working so hard and your score's not going up, you could teach better and work less with Eduprotocols. And to bring that to life, Kim, how many times did you hear kids in your classroom this year say, hey, we're getting better?
Oh,
that should not be an amazing thing for kids. But if you check with teachers that are using Eduprotocols, they're reporting over and over again that kids are spontaneously looking at the teacher going, we're getting better. And that's because I think that we've really settled into a rut in school, which is you're a B student, you're a C student, we're going to grind it out, and you're never actually going to get better. You just got to do this stuff to get to next year. So I think if you're curious about it and you think I work too hard and my kids aren't getting better, you got nothing to lose by doing some thin slides or some fast and curious, and it'll change your life. You'll be a lot happier. Kids will be happier. Scores are going up.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And for everyone that's watching, make sure to join us next week. Next week we have, is that Eric next week?
We have Eric Kurtz next week.
That's right. Just came out with the book.
He's big. Yeah, we're like Reef City compared to him. We're nobodies.
No.
You guys know where Reef City is too, because you're always going over the fast rolls.
So yeah, join us with.
They have Joe's Crab Shack that I heard.
Oh, perfect.
Favorite.
That's John's favorite. So
Well,
yes,
it's just a takeout version from the Avenel location. It's not a full Joe's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, John and I got on some tangent on I don't know, it was Twitter or Facebook the other day about all the different Joe's Crab Shacks and the most random specs on the map. It was like KC24 on the map of Bob Long, Eduprotocols or Joe's Crab Shack version.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, join us. We've got Eric Kurtz coming up. Then we also have, I don't remember the order, but we got Tara Martin,
we have Sylvia
Duckworth and Jen
Sarah
Gifford.
Thomas.
That's right.
We have a star-studded.
We got a lot of people coming on this
We're moving our
summer.
way back east now. We started off east with Brian Costello.
Right.
We're working across country.
And now we've gone to the west and we're heading back east.
That's right. So yeah, so join us. Thank you so much, John and Kim, for being with us as well. And see you all later on Facebook.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks.